All right. All right. Hey, everybody. I want to welcome you to Business Insights with Matt Milley. And I'm super excited because I've got a superstar on here that's going to talk to you a little bit about your marketing, helping you grow your business, grow your brand, and ultimately just grow your income. And he's going to show you some ways that you can do it for not as expensive as you may have seen in the past. But before we go into that, first, I'm going to go ahead and cue my intro. Welcome to Business Insights with Matt Milia. I'm your host, Matt Milia, and in this podcast, we'll talk about the real, raw, uncut business success secrets you won't find anywhere else. Follow my journey from entry level to CEO. We discuss real actionable items you can plug into your business right away. To subscribe to our weekly top tips, you can go to www.mattpodcast.com and join our community of elite high-level performers. And if you're interested in our inside sales company, you can go to www.appointmentstoday.com to jump on a free strategy call. And now, stay tuned for our podcast. All right. Mr. Russ Ward, how are you, brother?
Good. How you doing today, Matt?
I am great. First and foremost, I do want to take a moment to thank you for jumping on. This is a long time overdue. And for everyone who doesn't know who you are, tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Russ Ward. Most people know me as the Lead King. And I believe you and I met because I've been promoting my courses for some time now. And I believe you took advantage of one of my Black Friday sales, got all my courses. You and I had stayed in touch for a little while about, hey, how does this work? And I provided you with some support along the way. But, going way back, I never anticipated getting into marketing. If you guys want to hear the story about how it happened, I basically blew up my whole life. I had a $10 million lawsuit from the NFL. I had a $119,000 tax lien. I literally lost everything, and I was suicidal. And from that, I turned it all around, and I started a marketing agency. And if you guys want to hear that story on my podcast, the Lead King podcast, you can listen to all the wild stories that came along with that. And they're pretty entertaining if you need something to listen to one night when you're bored. So anyway, I started out as freelance marketer, Russ Ward, and I was charging like $50 in a video testimonial just to get some feedback and to get some testimonials out there. Then along the way, I decided, I had this thing from a long time ago called the Lead Kings. And it had an S at the end. And it was something I was doing in the past. That's another podcast episode. I was like, why don't I just call myself the Lead King and see if somebody will pay me a little more? So I rebranded myself the Lead King, made a Facebook page, just very low key. And people started to want to work with the Lead King, Russ Ward, much more than Russ Ward Freelance Marketer. So once I did that, I started really pushing the brand, and I started building the brand, and I changed the logo, and I did all kinds of just good things. But at the core of it all, though, was I was constantly evolving. I was always trying to do better. Like I started out with very simple, basic real estate leads, get a list of homes, and here we're going to convert these into leads, right? And from there, I got into like automated chat bots, and I got into other niches. And the key to the whole thing, though, and if you take anything away from what I'm going to tell you today, and you even stop listening right now, is just be curious and always keep trying to improve and get better. Because if I would have stopped with that one little ad I was running, and I was setting it up for $300, running your ads and then giving you a little course on how to optimize it. If I would have stopped there, I would have never got better, and I would have been out of the business in 6 to 12 months. I had to always keep evolving. And so that's why I am where I am today, because I'm always looking to evolve, get better, collaborate with people like you, Matt. Like, hey, I don't have call center skills. I don't know how to set up a call center, but Matt does. And, I either can learn from you, or I can, work with you, and you can do it for me. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
I love that because one of the takeaways I had from what you just said, and it's funny because I was thinking back to when I named my company. So we were naming it off of a company called Leads Today, and Leads Today is no longer. Leads Today, they just to be completely frank, they created the American dream, or lived the American dream, I should say, where they were able to sell their business. I think they sold their business for like somewhere in the 8-figure range, and it was bought out by another lead generation company. I want to say it was bought out by, it was a big, I can't remember the name of the lead generation company, but they were bought out. And it was funny because when we first started in the business of inside sales and building a call center and helping people that are generating leads, the one biggest thing, an opportunity we saw was, well, what do we name ourselves that's going to stand out? And we saw this other company, Leads Today, just killing it. And I'm like, you know what? Let's name ourselves Appointments Today. So it was funny because, how you came up with, how you're branding. It's funny, the Lead King instead of Lead Kings, they were the kings. So I love that. That's
Right.
awesome. But one of the big takeaways I got from what you were just saying too is that, also, what if you would have stopped after the lawsuit and all of that? I mean, there's so many people that just stop striving and stop doing other things. How'd you get past all of that and just keep, find that momentum, just keep moving forward?
Yeah. So probably like a lot of people, probably most of America, I grew up kind of poor. We didn't have anything. And I looked at my life once I got to a certain point was anything above this is just cherry on top. Right. I mean, I left home. I got kicked out of 3 colleges. I joined the military. I did really well in the military, and I created a lifestyle for me where I was actually able to own a house, own a car, provide for a family. I mean, and these sound like very basic, traditional values, but I was stunned I was able to achieve that level because I came from a fatherless home. My mother was on welfare and never worked. So I was literally shocked that I was able to achieve a bare minimum, standard of living, which is very sad, but it was exciting to me. So once I got to a point where, I was able to achieve bigger and better things. And by that, I mean, man, just, live in a nice neighborhood. It's not dangerous,
Right.
very modest expectations. I just started looking at everything I did with my life was just a cherry on top. So I could take as many risks as I wanted because the worst case scenario is I'd end up right back where I started. And I was used to that. And I know that sounds probably maybe weird to a lot of people, but that's how I kind of got ahead in life because I never looked at a risk that I took that could end me and destroy me. Like when, I had the bankruptcy and all this stuff happen. Yeah. Okay, cool. I lost everything. And quite honestly, that was all due to a series of bad decisions and being, wild with my money. And it was all my own fault. And so when I was able to take full responsibility for my actions and my decisions, I sat down there and I said, all this was created by me, which means I could rebuild all of this as well. And so I walked away from it. Yeah, I did go through a little period of time. Now, I was in a position where I was seriously considering killing myself. And differently than a lot of people, I wasn't really depressed. I wasn't really sad. I was in a place where nothing was working. I was trying to make everything work. I was trying to make a comeback, but no matter what I did, it just wouldn't work. And I was just like, at the time I was I was probably 40. And I was just like, maybe I'll live 50 more years. I don't want to live 50 more years feeling like constant frustration. I would rather just die.
Right.
And that was why I was sitting there contemplating suicide for a couple of weeks. And I didn't do it because, I have kids and I didn't want them to have the stigma of a father that killed himself and have that stain on their conscience their whole life. And I'm glad I didn't now. Obviously, we all want to live when we're happy. But at the time, I didn't know if there was a way to overcome that. And quite honestly, I feel like I got lucky. I just started Googling reasons to want to live. And I just started finding all these inspirational people like Les Brown, Eric Thomas. I found a whole bunch of like pastors and TD Jakes, and it was just uplifting. And I don't really care what your religious, political, or any persuasion is. Whatever is positive to you, and whatever can motivate and inspire you, that's what you should be listening to. And that inspired me, and it helped me to find some practices that really helped me out. I found meditation. I found law of attraction. I found the ability to calm my mind in the midst of chaos. And that was so helpful to me because everything that around me I felt was chaos. I had the bank coming to kick me out of the house. I had an NFL lawsuit for $10 million. How the hell am I going to deal with this? I had a tax lien that you can't bankrupt a tax lien. Like I had $119,000 I owed to the IRS. And even if I went through bankruptcy, they were going to collect that money on me no matter what I did the rest of my life. So I had all this chaos around me that I had to calm that somehow. And I calmed that through, number one, watching repeatedly stories and videos of people who had literally destroyed their lives and overcame it. And as Les Brown's advice was, is if you can find one other person who has overcome this thing, then that means you have the potential to overcome it yourself. And then I found meditation because it would just calm my mind. And even if I can only do it for 15 minutes, I had some peace. I had some resolve to, I'm not in a constant state of stress. And so that's kind of how I did it. And, if you, sometimes people think of meditation as like this deep mystical thing and all this stuff. It's not really, man. It's just shutting up and letting your brain do its thing, and if I could give you any wisdom on that, if you're in chaos, if things suck, if you need help in some way and you just can't find it, just try to chill the hell out. And meditation really did that for me.
I love that. And I mean, I can definitely relate to all of those challenges where you feel like you're pushing this big boulder up the hill and you're like you don't ever see or feel that resolve, or you don't feel like you ever really got there. So I totally get it. And I mean, that's amazing. And that wasn't necessarily the path I had intended to go down for our episode here, but it's so vital and so helpful because so many people are dealing with mental health struggles and challenges. And I think you even got certified in something recently I saw online. Is that something that you want to talk a little bit about?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about it. So since that time, I've gone through a lot of struggles like everybody, but I've had some deep internal struggles that date back to my childhood. Our parents, no matter how good our childhoods are, our parents mess us up in some way. So I had a lot of issues with my mother, with my father, and how these interacted with not just my romantic relationships, but with clients. Like I had a tendency that if a client like said something to me that I took the wrong way, I would just fire them, delete them, and refund their money. And not only was I costing myself a lot of money doing this, but I was killing relationships. I was not getting referrals. And this was all because I had an emotional trigger that would not allow me to work out problems. So I did a lot of personal work on why the hell do I act this way? And I found some solutions to these problems. I went through hypnotherapy. I went through regular therapy. I mean, I was really pushing hard to do self-improvement. So there was a couple of things that I just couldn't get past though. I've always had this crazy abandonment issue, right? Like say for instance, like on this podcast, say your power goes out and the stream goes out, right? My initial trigger in my head would be, oh, Matt doesn't like me anymore. He deleted the podcast because I looked ugly. I have a bald head, or he thinks I suck. That would be my initial thought, right? And I know it sounds ridiculous, but right. But that is a lot of people that have abandonment issues. They think just like that, So imagine how something like that would come up in like a romantic relationship, right? One disagreement, dude, I'm out, right? I can't stay with you because I'm terrified of you. I'm terrified you're going to break my heart, right? And so I just could not figure this out, and I finally found a modality. We call these modalities. We have things like meditation, traditional therapy, hypnotherapy. Well, Psych-K is just another modality, and it's called Psych-K. And what it is a way to talk directly to your subconscious mind through something called muscle testing. Muscle testing is very mainstream these days. It's something that chiropractors do. It's basically a way to just directly interact with the subconscious mind by asking it direct questions through muscle testing. So I was able to get to the bottom of why do I feel abandoned? How would I rather feel? And then talk directly to the subconscious mind and tell it, hey, you don't need to feel abandoned. There's a whole bunch of ways to do that. I'm not gonna give an example on the podcast because I don't want people to try it and fail and then say it sucks. I would rather if you are serious and you do, maybe you just go ahead and Google Psych-K, see what it's about. If someone really is serious about, hey, trying this out, they think it might help their problems, I'm more than happy to help somebody out over a Zoom call or over a phone call or anything. Like you said, I just got certified. And I'm not really allowed to say certified. I went through the training, which means I can do it. They don't have any certifications in Psych-K. It's not like I'm a doctor or a therapist or anything, but I
was going to start calling you Dr. Ward. I mean,
no, we don't want to do that, but I know how to do it. I've done it to myself. I've helped other people do it. And if it's something that people want to do it, I mean, I'll tell you what it did was it took that abandonment issue and now it's gone. And the cool thing is it doesn't take years of therapy. It's you talk directly to the subconscious brain, you reprogram that limiting belief, and then boom, it is knocked out in like 10 minutes or less. It's crazy.
I love that.
Yeah. So like I said, I can't really explain this in 5 minutes or less, but if someone wants to Google it, absolutely Google Psych-K. If it's not me that you come to, go to somebody else, because I'm telling you what, it knocked out the remaining limiting beliefs I have. And I still struggle. I'm still human, but what I have now is I have a tool that I can say, well, you know what, I can balance my left and right brain for this thing, and I don't have to suffer in this way anymore. And really what it comes down to is all the things I'm talking about. Ultimately, what we're looking for is peace, whatever it is, peace in relationships, business, money, anything, right? And so everything I can do to find a way to give myself and others peace, that's what I'm looking for. And Psych-K has really been a way to give myself peace, not just temporarily, but long-term in certain ways as well.
I love that. I wonder if there's, I mean, there's got to be so many different resources and things that people can look at. But yeah, I mean, for anyone, and I know for anyone who wants leads, here's the site for that, which is what we were planning on talking about. But I mean, Russ, I mean, I could probably say you are one of the most interesting people I've ever met. And well, because I remember meeting you and you told me the story, and like literally my jaw, like I had to pick it up off the table half the time. I'm like, what? Like this is crazy. So
Right.
like, but I say that with all like the most love and respect and admiration, because the fact that you are still here and you are like an authority figure, you're someone that people look up to. Like you're that person that, and it's funny because your branding is what actually made me like, I looked at what you were doing and I was seeing what you were posting. I'm like, man, like this guy's really got his stuff together. And then you posted something, and I know I'm just gonna say it was probably before Psych K, but I'm like, I freaking love this guy. Like you were doing everything that, like, I think you had a bad interaction with a client and you just were, you were like saying what you felt, but I'm like, this guy is so real, so authentic,
right.
and, so
And probably back then when I had a bad interaction with a client, I would send them a gallon of poop from a random animal. I would go to a website called Poop Senders, and I would send them a gallon of poop, and then it would have this little note on the top that says, dig through this poop to find out who sent it, and then it had a note in the middle that says, haha, we'll never tell. And that was how I got my jollies after somebody pissed me off.
Oh my God, that's
hilarious. So yeah, I no longer take great pride in doing that, but yeah, I'm sure you probably saw something like that, and I'm sure it was entertaining. It would be entertaining to me as well, but I don't want to behave like that anymore.
No, I get it. It's hilarious, but it's like, oh my, I get it. I mean, there are some people that just really push you to an extreme, and obviously it's having that emotional intelligence, learning over time that obviously those aren't going to be the activities, because just like how you would say you'd cut people off, I was totally the opposite, where I'd hang on to every script scrap. It was like a scarcity mindset. I'd be like, no, I can't lose this client, because if I lose this client, I won't get another client. And I have to keep them. And I've gotten to a point where, I mean, I would literally make myself, and I've never even shared this on a podcast, but I would make myself physically ill when I would lose. Like when I first got in the business 7 years ago, I'd make myself sick losing a client. Well, I would look at it as a personal failure. I'm like, well, I'm a failure. I can't believe I failed like that. I'm a failure. And I would start planting these terrible, terrible subconscious triggers. And then every time somebody would cancel, and sometimes it wasn't even things that were in my control. Like there were a lot of cases, prime example, hey, I'm switching brokerages and I just want to let you know, I love what you guys did, but they're going to provide me with inside sales reps there for free of charge. So I really don't need a virtual inside sales rep anymore. Or people would just say I'm changing brokerages, and because I'm changing brokerages, a lot of my leads that I had, I'm not even able to bring with me. I got to start over from scratch. I really don't need an inside salesperson yet. Most of the time they'd come back around. I mean, but there were times they didn't, and that's okay. But it got to a point where I would take that stuff personally. So anyways, I wanted to share that. Lots of things, learning lessons. But guys, for everybody that sees that I have this link here, bit.ly /LK solar course. I'm telling you, I'm a solar provider now, but I've dabbled in just people that have asked for, hey, can you run ads for me, doing this, doing that. And I mean, in a lot of cases, I've tried my own stuff. I've tried different things. And I would say that I was moderately successful doing some of my own things, but I will say that you brought me to that next level where, trying what you were teaching, and all of a sudden my lead cost went from $25, $30 a lead to like $10. Now it's $6 present day, which is stupid. That's crazy. Yeah. That's stupid. Like for people that don't realize, $6 leads are friggin' unheard of. And when I still look at my Facebook every day, I'm thankful. I'm like, man, I'm glad I know Russ. I go, because those leads would have cost me $60, $50. Like if I was doing good, maybe $50. But yeah, and it's all, the video I used, you're gonna laugh when I tell you. I hope you don't mind if I share. It's the cash counting, where when the people are counting
that's
the
the one
cash.
that converts best right now. Yes.
Video.
And if I might jump in and explain why this works so well.
Yeah.
So traditionally, when you buy a course, what lead generation people, course creators will do is they will show you the basics of how to run Facebook ads, set up your business manager, blah, blah, blah. They won't give you any exact ad copy. They won't give you any exact creatives. They won't say, follow me exactly, and you'll get these type of results.
Right.
I got really frustrated with that because when I was first learning, I always had something that was missing, and I always had to do trial and error. And so what I did was I just created courses that were just follow along with me, copy and paste everything I show you. And if you do it just like me, you'll get the same results. And if you don't, that means you probably either followed the directions or there's some variable that's off. And by the way, we'll help you with that if that happens. So I found a couple of key things. Number one, a lot of people, especially in solar, they run their ads from Facebook pages that are like XYZ Solar Company, right? One thing I learned from a guy named Ryan Stewman, a lot of people in sales and marketing know Ryan Stewman, very successful guy, is you always want to try and hide the salesman as long as possible. So if I'm selling from a solar company, I might run an ad from in say Tampa, Florida, where I'm from. I might want to run it from a page called People and Places of Tampa, and maybe fill it up with a couple of local news articles about things that are going on in Tampa. So now you're running an ad from People and Places of Tampa, showing a solar offer, and it's like, oh, maybe this is a local organization that's promoting a solar offer for People and Places of Tampa. Now it's not a salesman who's going to jump on the phone and close the hell out of me instantly. Yes, we're going to do that. We're just not going to do it right away. So that was one of my first keys. And something I found recently, though, that I forgot was the more simple that you can keep the message, the more on point, the better it tends to perform. So, for instance, the video you're talking about, so that was actually a video I made with an ex. So I went through a relationship where I was with a Cuban woman, and we actually went out and sold solar together. Now, it worked really well because I was generating Spanish solar leads, and she spoke native Spanish. And just to reiterate on Spanish, number one, the cost per lead is always exceptionally lower because the Hispanic market is super unserved right now, especially in their native language. If you're going to run ads to any Spanish-speaking people, make sure you get a native Spanish translator. Do not use Google Translate. You will look like an idiot. So I was running these ads, and then we would go out and we would sell these together in person. And she would like bond with the people, and then I would have a presentation. And I'm happy to share all this with you. I've actually on my website a thing called free resources, and under free resources is free solar resources. So you can jump in there and grab it. But I have a whole presentation in Spanish. And so what you do is she'd just translate the presentation. And then at the end, we would show them this spreadsheet. And again, I have free spreadsheets to show you how to do this. And this is how much money you'll save if you go solar, right? And we would close them. So on one of our offers was on installation day. We would come out and give you $1,000 in cash. So the video that you're referring to is a video of her videotaping me counting out $1,000 in cash. And then sometimes I'll do is I'll put captions around it, or I'll put a header or a footer. But that always converts because not only is it an offer, hey, on installation day, we'll give you $1,000 cash rebate, but it's okay. Somebody else has already got this because we see you counting the money, right? And it's super legit because it's a Spanish voice with a white gringo, me counting the money. So this is the combo that you're going to see when we come out to your house. And actually from that one video, we ended up getting 2 more solar deals on that street because I made such a big deal about it. I came with balloons and I came with a money shooter and it was just a wild day. And then all these neighbors were looking at us and they were like, what the hell's going on over there? And they're like, oh, they gave me $1,000 because I want solar to save money. And we got 2 more deals, right? And we're right back over there counting out money, shooting money all over the place. And that's how it worked. So you need to be a little bit out of the box. Like every one of their brothers running ads saying, go solar for $0 out of pocket. Dude, they know it's a lie. They know they're going to make money. They just know
the government's going to pay for
no
it.
down payment loan is all it is, right? So you got to have something better than that. I'm going to give you cash. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do XYZ, whatever your offer is, but it has to be different than everybody else's offer because that will convert.
I love the government's going to pay for it, and I mean, yeah, the government does give some tax incentives, but they don't pay for it. Like, you're not going to have Uncle Sam come out and be like, "Oh, here's a check for 30 grand, 40 grand." Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, it'd be great if it did. Then, yeah, everybody would have solar like yesterday if it worked that way. But you get tax rebates, you get all kinds of different credits. So, I mean, I'm a huge believer in solar. The funny thing is that if I was not I'm going to be moving, which is the most painful thing in the world. I mean, I'm only moving because we're expecting and we don't have any family.
Congratulations,
here, so
by the way.
Thank you. I still plan on coming back down here though, one way or the other, because I love it here, and so does my wife. And it's funny because we both were talking about, we should just look at this whole solar thing and see what it's like. And I mean, we just put it on the house. I mean, we were saving a ton of money. It's crazy. But the one thing, I say that to say this: solar has there's such a bad. It's almost like looking at like a used car salesman, because there's been people that have been burned, or they're like, oh yeah, the government's going to give you this, or they're going to give you that, or these people are going to pay you this or pay you that. And then what ends up happening is they don't get it because these people give them false hope and false incentives. And I got to tell you, Russ, I have so many freaking trolls on there. I literally had to go in to Google and say, listen, I'm sorry, you're wrong. I'll show you how you're wrong. If you want to send me your electric bill, I'll gladly get you a free quote.
Right.
But, you know, because these people, they've had bad experiences with other solar companies.
Yep.
But what I love about your ad, and that's why I kept laughing when you were talking about it, because I watched that video so many friggin' times, and I laugh because like uno, dos, like you guys are like counting it out, and I'm like,
Yes.
it's freaking hilarious, and I'm sitting there and they're like, and you could see the people are like getting more and more excited. I'm like, this video is brilliant, and it's funny because it's so. It's so simplified, but it's just so it captures your attention. Like,
Yeah,
why are these people so pumped? And then like the woman's like dancing around after she has the money. I'm like, this is awesome. So it's just there's a lot I think that goes into that. And you were telling me before we jumped down a little bit about testing different ads. How did you realize that this stuff works? I mean, let's start there. Like, what was it that made you realize that that works?
Well, I actually started out in my best sales job I ever had. I was a sales rep for Solar City, which was eventually bought by Tesla.
Okay.
And they paid me, and people in solar are going to laugh at this, but they paid me $15 per panel, which is nuts, right? You just don't understand how low of a payment that is. So if I had 10 panels, I got paid $150 for that solar cell, right? Which was nuts. Now they would pay me 5 times as much if I could generate my own deals. So I started door knocking. That was very inefficient. Plus I hated it. Everybody hates door knocking. So I just started posting in groups. Hey, I'll give you a free solar system, like a typical idiot beginner marketer. Free solar systems paid for by Uncle Sam. I was lying, obviously. I shouldn't have been doing that. And I did. I got a lot of leads doing that. And then eventually I got kicked out of all the groups. In fact, that was the first training I ever made in my life. And it's still out there too, if you guys want to see it. It's like this very video. It's like it sounds terrible, but I was showing how I was posting in groups getting solar leads for free, and it still works. It's just you're going to get a lot of hate. Right. But what I ended up doing was just learning how to run Facebook ads, and I was just putting my offer out there, and eventually that's how I got full blown into marketing, was because I wanted to make 5 times per panel instead of $15 a panel. Now, of course, more money with solar. But the reason why it's so different though is because a lot of people they're just stuck in their ways. They just want to copy what everybody else is doing, right? So recently I did a test I was sharing with you before we got on the podcast. Was I was trying something new. I was trying like 6 different images with 2 different ad copies and 4 different headlines. It's called a dynamic ad by Facebook. And what they'll do is they'll mix and match it together and find you the best combos of what works for you. And then you can look at all the numbers. You can see, well, what leads came in, how many came in with this image, this video, this ad copy. Now, the problem with that is right up front, it's super expensive because Facebook has to allocate money to all these different combinations. So if you don't have a really big budget right off the bat, you're going to see lead costs that can exceed like $60, $70, $80, $100. And that's normal because some of these are going to convert, but most of them are not. And the whole reason why we're doing this dynamic testing is because we want to eliminate the ones that don't work. So usually like right around like $200 in ad spend, we can start determining, okay, this works, this doesn't, this works, this doesn't. But if you have a very impatient client, they're going to be like, what the hell's going on here? You told me you were good at generating leads. It's $120 where we don't even have one. And I get it. They're frustrated. So you have to set proper expectations. So what I do is if a client does not have a lot of ad spend, right? And I'm talking a lot of ad spend to me is like $5,000, right? Most people don't have a budget like that. Some solar companies do because they make a lot of money. But just your average individual sales rep who might be just getting started, maybe he has $1,000 a month to allocate to ad spend, right? He shouldn't be doing dynamic testing because you're going to wipe out a good chunk of that budget just by testing. What you need to do is go straight into an ad that you already know gets results. And in my course, I show you, hey, these are the ads that I know get results. These are very dependable. Now, the cost per lead may fluctuate on these, and we're not really going to drill them down to the bare, lowest cost ever in the history of the world because we're not dynamic testing. But I can get you leads in the realm of anywhere from like $15 to $30 with what I know works. So just to take away from that is if you have a lot of ad spend, it makes a lot of sense to do dynamic testing because you can really drill down and see exactly what's working. But if you don't, just go with one that you know that works and then just allocate all your money to that and just take what comes of it. And usually you're going to get good results if you do that.
It's funny because I'm actually, and while you were talking, I wanted to see. So, okay. So as of right now for the month, so let me just I'll do a maximum here. So maximum time frame, I have got, let's see. Okay, so we're at $7 now, still amazing. 33 leads. I mean, and I spent a whopping $200, 33
What
leads.
what area is this?
So I'm running it in 22 states. So, I told you a little bit about power.
Oh, right,
I'm
right,
ru-
yeah, yeah.
I'm running it in 22 different states, but I will tell you my highest where I'm getting a bulk of my leads, I'd say, is California.
Yeah.
I'm getting a ton in California, and then every so often, like I'll get some here and there. Like I've gotten one in Nevada. I've gotten a couple in Virginia. But the folks that I'm talking to, I mean, they're seriously motivated, and I mean, I'm spending $20 a day, which is insanely
Yeah.
low. I
That's
know
really
that.
low. Yeah. To
I
get
know.
those type of results, that's a really low cost per day. Yeah.
Oh, well, and a lot of it is because I don't. So the guy that's calling these for me, he's my account manager, and I mean, he's got so many other things he's doing. But I told him, like, listen, if you get me somebody and I sign him up, I'll throw you a couple $100. He's like, okay. So he's all excited about it, and I'm like, all you got to do is call him, pre-qualify him, get them to send a copy of their electric bill, then we upload it into our system. Once we
Right.
upload it into the system, we take a snapshot, we develop the whole custom build out, and then we present the quote to them, and we do it all virtually. I mean, everything is done virtually. So I've actually had now yesterday was the first presentation that I was on, but again, this is all thanks to your leads. I mean, I'm spending next to nothing for this, and I mean, one sale is a lot.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
and the one person that we presented to, we were saving them like 160, 150, $160 a month. So I
Yeah.
mean, they're very interested. We just got to make sure they can get financing dialed in. But it's
Right.
let me say this. I say that to say this. The $20 a day I'm spending is going to go to like $200 a day if I convert that. If we convert that person, it's
Yeah,
going to go up because I'm
absolutely.
like,
Yeah.
okay, now we're making money off of this. Now I'm going to find a way to get the guy that's running the accounts. I'm going to say, okay, either you train somebody up to sit here and do this, or we find a way to get you to be able to do it so that you're focused solely on that. Because with the amount of leads we produced and the fact that we're already getting at bats is amazing. And I'm surprised to say that Facebook has been the medium that has generated the most so far, because I've tried it on YouTube. Not exactly your video. I'm very interested in split testing, and I'm working on that. But so far, so
Yeah,
good.
we found YouTube is so a couple things about YouTube. We found that you have to have just the right video with a good offer.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't, it's going to tank miserably. And even if you do have a
Oh
good
yeah.
video with a good offer, the cost per lead can still be somewhat higher if you have, because YouTube sends you to a landing page as opposed to a lead form. So your
Exactly.
landing page also has to be optimized to convert very well too. So you have a couple of steps with YouTube. You have to get the right offer and the right video, and then you have to have the right landing page. And all this has to work together just right, or it's just not going to work. So
Oh
I
yeah.
look at YouTube when people get into that as like an advanced step, right? Like Facebook lead forms, super simple, super easy. You know exactly what you're getting. YouTube and all these other places where you need landing pages, that's when the cost per lead can jump up because your landing page has to convert. It has to be optimized.
And it's so funny because so many people, a lot of people chase after those shiny objects of, oh, let me try here, let me try there. I mean, I've tested for Facebook, and I've tested Facebook and YouTube for real estate. And I will tell you, I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, with YouTube, so Facebook, I was able to generate tons of leads. YouTube, I was generating a few leads that were super high quality, but it got to a point where, I mean, they get really expensive. So you
Yeah.
really got to be ready to like shell out the financials. And if you don't have, I mean, I'm very fortunate. I have somebody that like they work in the background. They know what they're doing with YouTube. I don't know what I'm doing enough to like, I know what I'm doing enough, but I'll end up getting, $500 leads. So I'm like, yeah, not going to be doing that. So it makes a whole lot more sense. Like for everyone that's watching, the one thing I will tell you, if you are going to do this, you either need to get a coach, get someone to do it for you, or get somebody like Russ who has an entire done for you like platform where he will literally show you the ins and outs. Because I'm that guy, Russ, that's spent so much money on so many different courses. I'll buy this course, I'll buy that course.
Yep.
I had someone pitch me on a course for $15,000. I'm not
Wow.
gonna.
But that was a
Yeah.
YouTube course. That sounds like a YouTube-ish kind of course.
Oh, it was definitely a YouTube course that someone is very, very well known. I won't even, out of respect for the industry,
Right.
I won't put the name out there. But still, to this day, I get hammered by this guy's ads, and I'm like, oh my god! Like, I just want to like 15 grand. And I'm looking at it like, man, like how do you justify that? And that doesn't account for ad spend. That's just showing me how to do things that are outdated, that aren't even they're not even the new things anymore. So it's like
Exactly.
that's what I love about what you're doing, because I'm looking at the stuff, I go, this is still working. And that's the best part about this. It's still working. And now, Russ, let me ask you this. I mean, obviously, as we wrap things up here, I mean, I want to ask you, I mean, if someone were to go and get your stuff, I mean, if they don't, they can plug this in, but they need to either call those leads or have someone call them. I mean, would you agree for them to
Oh
see
yeah,
value?
absolutely. So the biggest mistake people make is they think I'm going to generate leads and then life's going to change. It does not. Where I've actually spoiled my clients and some of the people that take the courses is I've actually integrated a back end automated follow up that shows automated emails and text messages to make your life easier. Where that takes people down the wrong path is they say, oh, I'll just let the automations do it, and that's cool if you don't want to make money. But if you want to make money, the automations are designed to start a conversation. And then from the conversation, it has to be someone picking up the phone and talking to these people. And if it's not
Right.
you that's going to do it, and if you're the kind of person, I won't call my leads, you need to hire somebody like Matt, because Matt will call your leads for you and Matt will set appointments for you and his company will make sure that people are on your calendar. So it's imperative that if deep down you won't call these leads, and I will tell you that 99% of people I worked with will not call their leads. You have to find somebody else to do it. And like I said earlier in the testimonial that I made is that Matt's company, Appointments Today, not only knows what they're doing, but they're good people. They assign you an account manager and they treat you with respect. Like, I can't tell you how disrespectful some companies have been to me, even though I've been paying them a lot of money. So if you want to work with good people who are respectful and professional, like you guys really impressed me. And Matt, you were a friend before I worked and did business with you, but I still would hold you to a standard of professional excellence if we're going to do business. And you greatly exceeded that expectation.
Well, I appreciate that more than you know. And I think it's important to understand that anything that you do, especially with lead generation and lead conversion, it almost needs to be the same. They need to be put in the same sentence almost every single time, because so many people just focus on like the fact that like your automation, by the way, is phenomenal. It's some of the best I've seen, but your automation is meant to warm up the lead just enough so that if it's a Saturday and you really don't feel like having that conversation Saturday night because you're out with friends and the lead came in, it's having a basic conversation. Right. And then it's warming it up for Sunday morning or whenever you guys decide to jump on a call, but you have to jump on the call or someone has to. So yeah, I'm very appreciative that you brought that up for sure. Well, Russ, for everybody that's watching, of course, guys, I want to make sure too that I share this again. I cannot say enough great things about the course here. Definitely check this out. Go to the website bit.ly/LK Solar Course, and we'll have that in the comments as well for everybody that wants to just click on that. But I'd highly recommend checking it out. I mean, I would have paid a whole lot more for the information that I was given. I won't go over his prices in here unless he wants to, but I would have paid a whole lot more for what I got.
I do believe you got a Black Friday deal. So
I did, yeah.
Yeah, you did. But I do want to point out too that I have recently revamped the solar course. I added a bunch of new stuff to there. One thing I did add that's really cool is a template. So you can literally download a CSV file and then upload it to your Facebook ads account. And it will set up all the campaigns for you, so you don't even have to do it manually. It's really cool. I have it broken out for Spanish and then 2 different actual campaigns for English. So literally all you have to do is upload these CSV files to Facebook and then follow along in the directions of the videos in the course and then just upload the appropriate ad copy or images, and it will already be made for you. It'll save you tons of hours.
I love that. So you have that. So for everyone that has that, you are updating it in there, or is that?
It's already updated. You just missed it.
Oh, cool. I went through the long way of doing it, but it was funny because I started watching and I'm like, man, this has got like it wasn't. It took me. I mean, granted, okay, I will say I have an unfair advantage over most. I'm not just sitting there clicking buttons. I know how to do it. Facebook, right. I pride myself on knowing Facebook inside and out. But like I said, when I saw what you were getting leads for, I'm like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing, even way more than I do. So you know what? I'm happy to I am happy to input what's working, and that's all it is. You're modeling after what is working, and I mean, yeah, it obviously works. So yeah, so I appreciate you. Russ, anything you want to add here before we close things out?
I just want to say thanks for having me on the show. Anytime you guys let me give a platform to get my message out there, man. I went through some really hard times, and if you're going through hard times and you're looking for a way out, just don't give up, don't quit. If you feel like you want to hurt yourself, you want to kill yourself, there's people out there that care about you. I'm a stranger, but I'm available on every single kind of platform you can think of. If everybody else in the world hates you, I promise you that I won't, and I will answer you if you need someone to listen. I always like to get that message out there because I could have killed myself really easily, and I did believe nobody cared about me, and I did believe everybody hated me. And if that's how you feel, believe me, there's somebody out there that cares about you, and you would be greatly missed. So don't do it. Give somebody a phone call.
That's awesome. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you. And it was so great having you on. And for everybody that's watching, see you guys same time, same channel next week. Thanks again, Russ.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.